Hello everyone, welcome to this video discussion on the elements and principles of art. In this video, I should be talking about the important elements that we humans need to know in order for us to understand also the different principles of art or art in general. Let's begin with the elements of art. The elements of art are considered as the building blocks or ingredients of art. The elements of art are there in order for us to have a complete perspective or view of what art is. As mentioned, these are important ingredients, and so they need to be present in any masterpiece. First element of art is line. So we can see here an example where lines are utilized in a masterpiece, specifically in the painting of Leonardo da Vinci entitled A Virgin and Child with Saint Anne. So if you could see here, there is this utilization of lines, which also depicts different meanings. So later on, I'll be discussing the different functions of lines. So a line is a mark with length and direction. It is a continuous mark made on a surface by a moving point. So they say that any masterpiece, most especially a painting, starts with the basic lines or with an outline. So here, we could already say that lines have their own meanings. First one is horizontal lines. Horizontal lines suggest a feeling of rest or repose. So if, let's say, a painting has many horizontal lines in it, then that means the main emotion or feeling being suggested by that painting is a feeling of rest or repose, or it could also be symbolic of weakness. Another one, we have vertical lines. Vertical lines often communicate a sense of height. Not only the vertical lines, or not only do vertical lines suggest a sense of height, but also that gravity of emotions. So for example, if there are dominant vertical lines in a painting, it may suggest that there is a strong emotion being conveyed, okay? A heightened emotion being conveyed in the masterpiece. We also have zigzag lines. They convey action and excitement, meaning they suggest movement. But they also show restlessness and anxiety or uncertainty. You also have curved lines, which convey energy or life. So the more curved lines there is in a specific masterpiece, the more life or energy is injected to it. Apart from lines, it's also vital for us to understand color. So color or colors are there to add more life to the art. Okay? A color consists of hue, which is another word for color. It also has intensity, which involves the brightness of the color. And of course, the value, which involves the lightness or the darkness of the color. So I know most of us are familiar with the color chart, okay, and the different colors that we have. So colors are also achieved with a combination of different primary and secondary colors. Apart from colors, there is also shape. Okay? A shape definitely is an enclosed area defined and determined by other art elements. So it is two-dimensional or 2D. If we look at this example, this one, entitled The Blue Fan, a masterpiece, we could already depict a lot of shapes present in this masterpiece. So shapes may also suggest different meanings. So it's very important that if you are an artist, you know well about the different meanings of these shapes so that you would also know what to convey specifically in your masterpiece. So we also have form, most especially for architectural masterpieces. So form is a three-dimensional object. So if a shape is a two-dimensional object, then a form is 3D. Okay? It's a three-dimensional object. Or something in a two-dimensional artwork that appears to be three-dimensional. So for example, when a triangle is there, then that means it's two-dimensional. But the moment that it is a pyramid or it becomes a pyramid, it becomes three-dimensional and becomes a form or considered as a form. Another thing that we also need to consider when we talk about elements of visual art or elements of art in general is space, the proximity or the distance of different elements found in the masterpiece. So if you could see, or if you could see in this acrylic painting, we could already identify that space is utilized by showing that there are two sides, okay? And then there is this vastness of space in the middle, which we suggest a strong meaning. It is the distance or area between, around, above, below, or within things, or the elements in an art. We also need to consider texture because the texture may also provide a deeper meaning to the masterpiece. The surface quality or feel of an object, its smoothness, roughness, softness, textures may be actual or implied, okay? For example, if it is poetry, there could be implied texture to it. Let's say the emotions or the mood present in the poetry or the prose or the story, let's say. But it may also be actual, such as those that you can tap. You can actually touch. For example, we have sculpture, okay? Or architectural masterpieces or forms. So when you touch them or these masterpieces, you could feel the texture, okay? And again, texture has a specific meaning, or it may also contribute to the understanding of the meaning of a certain art. Okay, so for example, we have here the details of a bouquet of flowers in an urn. So this is a painting on an urn in 1724 by Jan van Huysum. So if you could see the detail, or I mean the texture is very detailed, and when you look at this one, it looks realistic. Okay, the details are realistic. So besides knowing the different elements of art, it is also vital to establish a deep understanding of the principles of art. So the principles of art are what we use to organize the elements of art, or we consider them as the tools to make art. First one, we have balance. So balance is very important to be achieved in a masterpiece or in an artwork. This is the way the elements are arranged to create a feeling of stability in work. And balance comes in many forms. Two of these are symmetry and asymmetry. So when you say symmetry balance or symmetrical balance, this is wherein the parts of an image are organized so that one side mirrors the other. Now, if you look at the painting of Leonardo da Vinci entitled the Last Supper, we could see here that there is symmetry. Take a look at the arcs here found on the ceiling. So we could see that there is this middle arc here with two smaller arcs at the left and the right sides. So this now creates symmetry in this painting. Okay, that's the symmetrical balance. On one hand, we have the asymmetrical balance. Okay, an example for this is the balance portrayed or depicted in the painting by James McNeill entitled Whistler's Mother. So when you say asymmetrical balance, it is when one side of a composition does not reflect the design of the other. Now, if you look at this one, definitely there is no balance in terms of distance of elements and also in terms of color used. So if you notice, black and white, and then we also have shades of black, okay? And then we also have here white, and then the rest of the elements are also found, but there is no, found in the masterpiece, but there is no balance. So that is a symmetrical balance. We also have emphasis, okay? Now take a look at this masterpiece by Francisco Goya in 1808 entitled The Shootings of May 3rd, okay? Now if you look at this one, the highlight of this painting is definitely this person here wearing a white shirt. Now this creates emphasis, or emphasis is created in this masterpiece by adding more portion, or rather emphasis here, by coloring this with white and then lighter color compared to the other side, which has a darker hue. Now this one emphasizes or the focal point of an image, so it interjects the focal point of an image, or one area or thing stands out the most. So if you can see in this painting, this is the image that stands the most, okay, the person in white. We also have variety. So variety, of course, from the word itself, it is a mixture of different elements are present in it. So it's very important that when observing variety, we also need to understand that there are certain elements that we need to consider. For example, the mixture of different colors or the mixture of different shapes and lines. So there is variety here in this sample picture. So it is the use of differences and change to increase the visual interest of the work. So in this painting alone, you could see that there is variety of color, shapes, okay, and then emphasis as well. Next one is unity, okay? Unity is embodied in the painting of Pablo Picasso in 1904 entitled The Old Guitarist. So here, unity is achieved when all the elements and principles work together to create a pleasing image. So if you could notice here, the shadows, okay, the different colors used, the variety, they come in unison, meaning they come united so that there is one strong meaning to be portrayed through the different elements used here. Okay? Next one is proportion. So proportion is the comparative relationship of one part to another with respect to size, quantity, or degree. It's also considered the scale. Now, if you look at this image here, titled The Rainy Day, this painting, you can see that there is proportion in how these individuals were painted. Okay, those individuals are nearer and those individuals at the background. There is also proportion in terms of the size of the different elements used here. Same goes with the buildings that you can see here. And proportion is used here to create somehow a reality to the image. Okay, that even if there was distance, okay, even if there was there's this nearness or farness present in this visual art, you can see that there is still reality. And that reality was made possible because of proportion. Then we also have rhythm. Okay? Rhythm is present in Vincent van Gogh's The Starry Night. Okay, this is the famous painting of Van Gogh. It is a regular repetition of elements to produce the look and feel of movement. Now, if you look at this image, you could see that there is rhythm with the repetition of these circular patterns here with color yellow, and also with the repetition of different curved lines present here. So that is rhythm, and rhythm is also very important to achieve unity in the masterpiece. Contrast is also one of the principles which suggests that if you want to create more reality to it, there must be contrast in terms of the color. Okay? This one is to create interest and tension in the elements of the visual art. This one is to create also the difference so that there would be more emphasis on certain elements. So for example, if you look at this one, there is contrast here by having dark colors here at the top portion of the painting and light colors here at the bottom part. So that means contrast is established here to make sure that there is more emphasis on the light color or perhaps on the dark side of the painting. Okay, so those are the different elements and principles of art. So some of you might be asking, why is there an importance to know about these things? Well, even if we are not artists ourselves, it is still important for us to be able to really understand different masterpieces. For us, a simple line in a masterpiece or the variety of colors in a masterpiece may not matter to us. But in order for us to really understand the different meanings implied or explicitly interpreted in a masterpiece, we need to have full grasp of these elements and principles of art. For example, if we know that lines have meanings, then we would also know that for a masterpiece which has dominant lines in it, we could see already or we could interpret already the strong meaning being suggested. And I think that is where elements and principles of art come in purposefully. So they are there to help us really understand these masterpieces and for us to make a deeper understanding of all the elements found in these masterpieces. So, if you have any questions, can you post them on the open forum? Thank you very much for watching this video discussion.